I'm going to jump ship and keep the energy going a little bit. What do your team, or what do you personally, or your team, think about the results that will be coming out soon for the election in America?
Yeah, interesting. So I've been channeling this for a while because one of my clients is in Canada and works in politics, and we've been talking about politics for a long time. And politics isn't my forte at all.
No, not mine
And
either.
he said exactly the same thing to me. He said, "What do you think?" And when I channeled, I heard what we would call here a hung parliament, right? That's what I heard. It's going to be like a hung parliament, and it will form into something new. So it won't be existing in the current format. That's how I was hearing it. So it's not blue or red. It's not left or right. It basically emerges into a new thing. So there's been this thing for a long time. I don't know if you've heard that Trump is the last president.
Yeah,
He's the last president in the way that we know the system currently. This is
yeah,
how I've heard it.
yeah.
And the way that I understand it is that a new system will emerge, and that will emerge from January. So we're going to see some big change. And I think a lot of people are going to be disillusioned because obviously they voted for Biden and they wanted Biden in here, and they thought that was the reason he would bring change. And I often say it's not neither party is good nor bad. They have both in them, just like we're the same side. It's like dark and light, it's the same side of the coin, isn't it? Heads or tails, same side, right? It's just how much you get, how much goodness you can relate to each side of it, because a dark or a light is always going to show you a balance and objective. Okay, so it's not about good or bad, or the right party and the wrong party, because they both have that in them. It's just down to, does it give the people the power and the freedom that is needed for this next civilization, or does it limit them more? And it is about unity and freedom and compassion and love, and us taking ownership for where we live and who we are, rather than being dictated to. That's what we're reclaiming here right now. So currently a hung parliament, but come January, I'm hearing that it will look very different. And I've also said America's a reflection on the rest of the world. So we should have our eyes on America, because what comes out there, because they're the loudest voice at the moment. We're not hearing that voice anywhere else in the world as loud as that. That will filter through to the rest of the world. So have your eyes on it and pay attention to what's going on.
Interesting to hear you speak about America, because like they said to me a while ago, step back a bit, step back from politics, bring out that divine side, like remind people that this life's only temporary and politics is
Yeah,
part of this world.
yeah,
Okay, there are different politics, there are different vibrations of energy up there, different timelines, different way of expressing. But at this moment, it's like you're on Earth. So why would you want to know about a different timestamp and a different dimension? Yes, you are going towards that, but the faster, the more quicker you clean your crap up on Earth, right? The more it's like saying, this was explained to me years ago, karma. People say, oh, there's no karma. Poppycock, of course there's bloody karma.
yeah,
There's individual karma, there's country karma, and there's planetary karma. People say,
totally.
oh, there's not. So listen, people, don't get your knickers crossed. There is karma still. So understand it, change the way you think and feel, and you'll see your life changing. And I explain it like this. You're having a picnic on the beach one day, and it's a great, lovely golden beach, and you're on the Bahamas or somewhere that you really like, but there's a hill behind you, and there's about 50 steps up the hill. So you and your family, you had a picnic, and you go, right, let's go up the hill, let's go back to the hotel, or if you're rich enough, let's go to our own chalet. So you start going up the steps, and you look back, you're on top of the hill, and you see all the litter you've left, all the mess you've left on the beach. So you got to come back down and tidy it all up.
Totally.
Now that to me is karma. And then you go back up the steps. When you die again, you croak it, you pop it, you go up the steps again, and you look back, think, oh bloody hell, left some more crap there. So you got to go back down. That's karma, folks. So if you clean your crap up on Earth, you clean all that rubbish in your life right now, the easiest going to be. Now, this is a humdinger. This is a 3-pointer, a slam dunk. Brilliant. You get to a certain age and you're working on your next life. People go, not dead yet.
Yeah.
You're working on your next life by this life. When you get to a certain age, you're working on your next incarnation. That's if you are going to come back until you realise, you're God realised, self-realised, and you realise, there's a different planet you can go to, right? There's a different way of understanding it. But you are working on your next life. So if you want an easier life, not an easier life, but a more compact and aware life, more in tune life now, I would say to people, watch what you say, watch what you think, watch what you eat, meditate more, be nice more, and stop telling yourself bloody lies. That's
Yeah,
my way
totally.
forward. And have no desire when you're dying, on those moments that you're dying, have no desire thinking, oh, I've not made love to all them beautiful women. Oh, I should have had that chocolate cake. Oh, I should have had that ice cream. Oh, I missed that Ferrari. Bugger that. Have a bit desireless, because if you desire something, I want to speak right. I desire to be perfect, right? So if I desire that, I'll probably come back next life as a wordsmith. I don't do so bad now anyway, do I really? So it's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
So have no desire when you pass it. So if you were now realizing, and you've got a long time in front of you, if you were realizing that you're in the last 50% of your life, what would you be working on to have no desire, to be free? So when you go over to the side, you can be what you truly want to be.
Totally. That's a really good question. So, as you were talking, I heard that everything that we do, we shouldn't have regrets over, because they're always right for that moment. So every choice you make it right for that moment. So when you're looking back, having the regrets, just like you said, it was all of those were right at the moment. Okay. So there's no point kicking yourself. And that, saying that we should have had this and should have had that is just it's like another lie to yourself, right? Because you could have had it. You just probably didn't want to work hard enough.
That's it, yeah.
And just to hit on the karma side, and then I'll come to how you put it right, is you're absolutely right. People say often what goes around comes around, and they relate it to, if someone's mistreated you, they'll be hard done by. Don't forget, you contracted for that person to mistreat you, right? You made a contract on a soul level for that to happen. So if you get into a toxic relationship, or you've got a toxic parent or something like that, that's been contracted, okay? And that's being contracted because you're not only learning your lessons as a soul, as a human, you're also rebalancing your karma from a previous life. So I've got an ex-boyfriend who I killed in a previous life, who absolutely was chaotic for me in this lifetime. But the purpose was for him to do that, for us to reach a place of mutual love and respect for each other, where we could forgive each other. We just righted that karma. Okay. So what can you do moving forward? Well, you can be really active in noticing, as you said, what crap is coming up for you. Where's your trail of rubbish? What it keeps reflecting back on you, because that is not just your lesson and growth here, that is also part of your karma. So if something comes up again and again and again, you've got to start learning to put that right. So it's really interesting. You said, what would you do with the remaining 50% of your life? I've said that. I said, I'm 50 years young in, I've got another 50 to go. Hearing it's not quite 50, but almost. But what would I do? I'm looking constantly, and I do it daily. I write a journal daily every morning, and I write down everything that comes out. And there's a lot of triggers in there, One of my soul's missions, core values, is to learn truth, but in judgment, and not judge from a place of ego. That's one of my soul missions. And I realize I'm quite judgy. So I look at that and I'm like, okay, what can I write today? What can I make right today and create that into a new state of being? So I'm constantly on it. But this is the thing that we humans lack. We're not disciplined enough. We don't commit that to ourselves. Because once you get into that commitment, those things shift like that. They're quick. And they only become harder because we can't be bothered, because we think healing and writing karma and making sure that we're setting this lifetime right, so we're not experiencing the same trauma in the next life. We're just lazy about it. We just we just don't want to do it because we've been indoctrinated into this state of being that everything is suffering, everything is hard, you know, it's a hard slog. And if you're going to go into healing, your whole being is going to fall apart and it's going to be really hard to put it back together. And I'm sitting there going, who told you that? I can show you how we can make it easier. My clients are abuse. They've had horrendous abuse. I have in my lifetime as a child. And I'm like, do you know what? This can make it really easy. Let's do this really easy. You don't have to fall apart on this. We can just heal it really, really quickly. And it has happened. But again, it's another lie we tell ourselves, that we need to be stuck in this state of this cycle of suffering, and that it's got to be hard and it's got to be difficult, and therefore we can't be bothered. So we're not putting those karmic contracts right. We're not dealing with them, and then we'll come back in another lifetime and experience them in a different way. We experience the same core values in so many different ways, and I know I've done it.
This brings another question here. Forgive me for being a devil's advocate, but I'm not. I'm getting little bits of snippets here.
Okay.
Do you think this country karma? And if you do think this country karma, what do you think England's reaping as they sowed?
Wow, what an amazing thing. Yeah, it's a great question.
I'm just really good, aren't I? I'm just really good. I know that. Thank you. Sorry.
So I just heard the answer land as you said that. Okay. Yes, I believe that there is country or land karma, right? The way I'm hearing it is, and Saint Germain's going to answer this one again, he's saying that England was one of the most forward-thinking countries in conquering the rest of the world. They dominated the world, and though it's perceived that they did a good thing, there was a lot of, the words he's using is rape and pillage, but not the physical rape, but of the lands.
Yeah.
Okay, to claim ownership. So England, Britain's karma right now is to be humble for what they are, is to pay that back, is to give the countries back their independence, right? Is to hand that back. The Commonwealth, he's just said to me, the Commonwealth won't exist as it does today. Give it 3 to 5 years, the Commonwealth will collapse. They will all be individual countries with their own rights and their own state of being, like you handed back to Japan or China or whatever it was.
While you've got Jermaine on the telephone, they know we've got a sense of humour, so we can get away with it, right? Does giving the people back in England their freedom, does that apply, or does that we have to work harder on that? You don't have to answer if you don't want to.
No. I'm just hearing what they're saying. So what he's saying is it's more about the it's the bloodlines that need to the people will get their freedom. It's the bloodlines that instigated it that are going to suffer, right? So suffer or have to give up or learn how to be humble or learn to live in another way. We, as the people of the UK, of England, Britain, whatever you want to call it, it's a collective, they tell me. So it's the whole of the UK. That's what he said. We will gain our freedom, but the lesson is for the people in the bloodlines that created this in the first place. You know, it's not. It's another way of showing how far back control goes. You know, the fact that they've got the Commonwealth, that they've gone everywhere, and they were very clever with conquering countries. You know, they had the scientists there. They literally were really, really smart about it. And it was all about control again. And we've gone full cycle because that's where we are right now. And we're trying to relinquish
Well, when you say bloodlines, are you talking of a special family?
Yeah.
A royal family, but as in royal, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay,
gosh,
so...
Yeah, got shivers everywhere.
Yeah, okay, fine. So this is... because they're telling me in a way that, why do you think this civil unrest in America? Because it's a new country. America's not old at all. It's not like Europe or England. No. It's just new. And they've been in so many wars and so many, they've wanted wars and they get wars, and Vietnam and other stations like that. And, you know, it is, unfortunately, people don't believe it, but countries do reap what they sell. So
Yes, they do.
And it's
Yeah.
just, I just wish people understand if we all come together and they're talking about utopia, the Garden of Eden, heaven. Your job as a human being is to help other people understand that there is an outer expression that you forgot to bring back into oneself and to see the beauty and let your daffodil in yourself come forth, because it's the colour of daffodil, it's the yellow, which is the brightness. And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
a, a while ago on a channeling night, they channeled the consciousness of the daffodil, and it was like, whoa, this is unbelievable. So
Mm.
I find that this evening it has gone so fast. It's 1 hour and 20 minutes. I mean, it's just gone so fast. I don't want to keep you from your beauty sleep. We don't need much of that. Let me tell you that. But can you tell people how they can contact you?
Yeah. I've just been asked, can I just add to what you just
Yeah,
said about
please feel
America,
free.
please?
I've got
Because
all
they've just,
night. Feel
oh,
free.
okay, they've just said I need to add a bit to it. That what I'm being told is when we talked about bloodlines and a certain family in the UK, with land ownership across the world, the bloodline originally has been in America for a very long. It wasn't in America, but it was in Central Europe. But it went to America where it could have bigger influence because of the size of the country. That's what I'm being told. Okay, now the power went to, or was pointed towards, the bloodline in UK because they wanted it to be deflected from them whilst they grew the network in America, whilst they infiltrated where they needed to, while they occupied as much land as they could. So they needed to deflect that whilst they could do what they needed to do in America. And then, you've heard that, the British Empire ruled the world, and now that's no longer. So that's been collapsing over a period of time because America's trying to regain that. The spotlight's gone back on it. That's why all eyes are on America right now. So I just had to add that because it might put into context what we were talking about before.
No, I totally agree with that. That sometimes we have to bring in a way. We have to put a piece of bread there, and we've got to put some butter on it so people can digest it. Simple
Yeah,
as that. You know,
yeah,
it's like
exactly.
saying when one of my first teachers many years ago, he said you got to treat people. Best way to explain this, he said, is understand that people have been in a desert for such a long time, say for
Yeah,
afterlife. So when they come out of the desert, you don't feed them with a 3 course meal and a bottle of Merlot. You don't do that. What you do is you give them a piece of cake. In our case, angel cakes, right? And a sip of water. I said, so why? And I was trying to get more off him. He said, because it's easy to digest. In other
yeah.
words, the moral of the story, you don't overface somebody, you don't give them a massive meal, because if they start to eat it, they can't digest it, they're not going to come back for more.
Yeah, and Dennis, this is a really good point because this is what's going to happen with the revelations, right? So we were waiting for some massive revelations to come out, but they've been really subtle. And just as in spirituality, you have to go and seek to find. You have to go look for it. You have
Yeah.
to connect. You can't. It doesn't just land in your lap. You've got to go do the work. This is exactly it. You have to um, look a little to find the answers. They're not obvious, but um, there is a series of revelations coming out, but they will be put out milder because we cannot digest them. We're not ready. Like you said, how are we going to get all these people awake and up to where we're at, right? They can't deal with the stuff that's coming out. So it's going to be drip fed slowly, 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 so that the masses can digest them. You and I could see it and we'd be like, yeah, okay, we've got this. But most of the people won't be able to because their whole identity has to come apart because it's a whole, they'll be like, well, we've been misled all of, how long have we been misled for? This means that this doesn't exist anymore. And that's why, I think the bloodline here, the family that we're talking about, is being quieter because, yeah, not long till they fall. Slowly, slowly. It's done slowly, slowly.
Yeah, I'm just looking at something, and I'm looking at an axe falling,
Yeah.
and they've just gone beyond that. They said they just give me a picture of the French Revolution
Interesting.
and the guillotines. So symbolically, heads will roll, not
Mm.
physically, not but heads. Oh, okay.
They'll be held accountable, right?
Yeah, old energies will be cut off at the head.
Yes.
That's what it is. Old energies run
Nice.
deep, they cut off the head. So you've got in a way to remove the head of the snake, and then you
Mm.
can't put the head back on the snake until you sort the body out. And then
Yeah.
you sort the body out, then you put another head on it as well.
Yeah. Sorry, I digressed. I just needed to add those bits in. I was told
They've
to
just
just
asked me a question. This is for
go on.
you. Sorry, I'm just being. It's your team. Don't blame me. It's your team. Ask our beloved partner about what she calls unconditional love in this day and age now.
Wow. Okay. So it's really interesting because on my Instagram, it's a great question again. On my Instagram, I actually asked the question, have you experienced unconditional love? And the majority, and I think it was something like 80 odd percent said yes. And when I checked in with the answer and I said, is this actual unconditional love? And I heard, no, it's not. They have a perception of unconditional love. Unconditional is no conditions. Not no conditions. I love you regardless. You might be my enemy, I still love you, right? You might do me wrong, I still love you. Unconditional, no condition. If you're that full of love, think about Jesus on a cross. That was unconditional. It just happened, right? Think about what he went through that was completely unconditional. There was no really fighting back. There was no, why are you doing this kind of stuff? He just didn't, the way it's been portrayed and the way that we understand it. And actually, let me call him in. That's probably the easiest thing. Okay, so he's actually said the silence that I was in created so much more observation that then created an outpouring in the people that were observing in what love is. That's what happened. So without judgment, without condition, without anything, that's unconditional. So when people say, I've got unconditional love for my child, I'm like, well, how much are you judging them? How much are you disappointed in them? How much are you pulling them down? That's conditions. That's not unconditional. And if we're going to a place of complete unconditional love, and if you've ever, I'm sure you've done it, Dennis, when you connect and you go up to where the Council of 12 are, or you go to where Source Energy is, and it's so beautiful, like so beautiful, it makes you want to cry, right? There's no words to describe it. It is so amazing that when I've experienced that, I don't want to come back. I'm like, what am I doing back here again? And I have not been able to transfer that feeling into my human state yet. And that's the truth. So when someone's saying I've got unconditional love for you, I would question it. Now I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'm going to say, well, are you sure there's no conditions on it? What conditions do you think you're imposing? And actually, everyone's got a different perspective of what love is. And somebody said to me the other day, have you actually been in true love? And I said, no, I haven't. I have love for my child, but it still comes with conditions. I haven't held my child throughout her whole 24 years totally unconditionally. I haven't. Honest, I haven't.
I'm going to bring through a different aspect of that unconditional love. It's the
Okay.
first time. It's first time the council came through my council, which is half your council. And let me just say this to many people who are trying to channel, who want to channel. This is for you folks. If you are honest in wanting to connect to the higher realms, then you can channel. And I'm sure that Yasmine will talk about this either tonight or another time. That it's not only Yasmine and myself can channel the Council 12, but they come individual and they come as a group. And so don't lie to yourself and say you're not good enough, because I was born with a speech impediment and I couldn't talk. Girls had to chat me up. That's why I'm single. And it was hard work. And I had all this white hair, looked like Moses, and this voice said, "Go and set your people free." I went, "What?" Now I know what they mean. But it's took me so many years. Said, go and set your people free. I said, I can't because I stutter. And this voice said, Moses stuttered as well. And I went, yeah, but he had more hair than me. He said, get out of here. And that's them telling me off. But let me go to when they first came, the Council of 12 came, I was sat in meditation. And they said, we are household names and we are what you may call earthly famous. But it's not about our names, it's about the energy we bring collectively as a group. But we will come individually to people who need it, who ask us to come and keep asking. Not just, oh, will you come and talk to me? No, that's Mickey Mouse. But when you demand our presence and you don't stop, because it's that demand we will answer. So if you hear what I'm saying, people, understand what is being said. Demand and keep demanding the higher life to come through, because it will. Now, when it came through, Jesus Christ started talking about unconditional love. He says, right, Dennis, I want to talk about unconditional love. I went, okay, because I'm eager. I'm going, yeah, okay, boss. And I've got a sense of humour, as me. And he says, Dennis, unconditional love is poppycock. And I went, what? He said, yeah, unconditional love is poppycock. It's not true. Until, and then he went and he come back about 10 seconds later, give me something to think about it. He said, until you love yourself first, you can understand yourself, then you can love other people. But you have to love yourself first. You've got to know where love comes in and where love goes out, where love vibrates on a certain resonation, on a certain time, on a certain day, and you've got to understand that, and you've got to love yourself. And then he gave me the picture of the aeroplane dropping through the sky, hitting an air pocket, and the mask drop, and the air hostess says, hey, always put your mask on first, and then help the child. And you give me that picture, and it says, and it's the same thing now. Unconditional love is poppycock. You've got to love yourself first. And when you love yourself first, you don't judge yourself.
Yeah, totally.
Don't judge. You take yourself.
Self-acceptance is super hard. We're not good at it. We're really good because of what media's taught us, and actually probably our parents and their parents and their parents, is that we are not good enough, that we can't speak up, that women can't do certain things, that men have to be a certain way. The ideals have been imposed on us, more lies that we tell ourselves. Okay. And it's really interesting. So I did a talk a few years back, and my daughter was in the audience, and me and my daughter have spoken about this already. And I said, I asked the audience and said, how many of you put your kids before yourself? And all the hands went up. They very proudly put their hands up. And I said, that's interesting. I said, there's my daughter sat there. And I said, you know what? I love myself more than I love her. And the faces were like, blimey, why do you do that? And I said, because if I don't know what it is to give it to me, how do I know what it is to give it to her? Yeah. If I'm judging and hating on myself, that doesn't come from a pure place by saying I'm giving unconditional love to my child, because I'm not, because I don't know what it feels like. I do not know what it feels like. What it then becomes is an obligation. It's an obligation because that is my child and I have to love them or treat them in a certain way. But it's not true because I'm not feeling it. So when I got the self-respect, the self-assurity, the self-worth, and I don't hate on myself, if I put on a bit of weight, I don't hate it. I'm like, thank you. Aren't I blessed to be able to eat as much, to put on a bit more weight, And if in whatever happens, I just don't hate on it. And it's interesting that when people now meet me and then they say, well, how old are you? And I'm like 50. And they're like, how are you 50? And I'm like, because I'm not hating on myself. I'm really... Happiness shines when you're in love with yourself. It shines, and that's what keeps you young, doesn't it? And that's how you then affect everyone else around you.
I didn't tell you my age, but I love myself. No, I'm 71.
Amazing.
So, and people say, what? I said, yeah. So,
I didn't have you down for 71, but
it's like saying, but you never been married. I said, probably that's what it is. I've no wrinkles. I've got a bank account, but it's been gone twice. All that. When I lived in Spain, the bank collapsed and took all my money. to start all over again. I was on a spiritual path then to come back here into America to do mind, body, spirit exhibitions. Rival people did some things to me and I went bankrupt. I'm thinking, well, I'm working for you. Why am I going bankrupt? He said, well, we didn't say it's going to be easy. It's like, you've got to love yourself. You've got to roll with the blows. You're going to have some good times. I said, yeah, I understand that. But there was a question that I was going to bring through. I know you're getting on. I think, what was the question? I mean, not on in age. I mean, on in time. Oh, that was it.
We're good.
Are you sure? Because we could go. It's great. I love it. And people saying, oh, keep her talking. Fine. So what I'm going to put this out there. Anybody in the chat room, anybody's listening now, write a message, ask a question of Yasmine now. Go for it. Ask a question. Don't ask her age. That's rude. She's already told you. She's 39. Let her off the hook, right? Ask a question. Ask me a question. Ask the counsellor 12. Her counsel, not mine.
Yeah, let's do it. I love this. I love spontaneous questions.
I love it. You look at the clock. I'm thinking, it just feels like I've only been on 2 minutes.
Well, time's an illusion, isn't it, my friend?
Yeah, I mean, when you enjoy yourself, don't you say time flies, isn't it? Well, then I thought you were 12 years younger. You do me, you. 12 years. Actually, yeah. I'll tell you something. I love Paramahansa Yogananda, right? And I took the lessons, and now I'm a Kriyaban. I do all the breathing, not do it every day, but and that helps. That slows down the aging process as well. And he says, there's a question here that I want to put up. I'll go to it in a minute. Don't look at your window yet. What was it? Oh, it's gone now. Oh, flipping heck's gone. It's gone completely. Oh, it come back.
Was it about the breathing? Was it something to do with
that? Oh, yeah, it was to do with Yogananda.
Okay.
He always says, never tell anybody your age and never tell them where you come from. So I said, why? He said, because they judge you. And it's so right, They judge you.
Yeah.
They judge you from and that's the ego, body identified. And he had an understanding, Yogananda. And then he was like, they judge you, they look at you, and as soon as you tell them your age, that's what they see. They can't go past it. They can't. Well, I am, to survive in what I've done, to get to this with the knowledge, and I'm sure there's a lot more to come, because for the last 5 years, I've been hibernating here in this great energy, doing my channeling nights here, but that's had to go by now because of COVID. So it's like saying, okay, fine. So sometimes you have to withdraw from the maddening crowd and do the work on yourself. And that's another thing. I was shown a picture, the feeding the 5,000, right? The Sermon on the Mount. In today's world, you bring it forward, and I'm always good at bringing, that's self-praise, I know, because I love myself, honest. Self-praise is good. Is when Sermon on the Mount, when Jesus Christ was there talking to people, and he was feeding them with the loaf and the fishes, greedy buggers. I'd give them just sips of water, get on with it. But I'm tight. No, I'm not. And he says, and right,
he's laughing at you. He's laughing at you.
I know that. He says, he's making me say this. He's inspiring me.
Really good sense of humour.
He's inspiring me. Well, he must have died on the cross, but that is not right. Let him tell you this. That is not right. He came down and lived, but we go that another day, unless he wants to tell you what's happened. But he was saying, Sermon on the Mount, when he was talking to people, you bring it forward, right, in today's world, and just think, Jesus up there, or put your hands up to all the people, 5,000 souls. Who wants God realization? Who wants soul realization? They all put their hands up, right? He puts them down. He said, who wants to work on it? Who wants to work for it? No hands
No
go up.
one.
It means the lousy human beings, no, not lousy because we are, they want it given to them. It's not going to work.
Yeah, they're lazy.
Not
They're
going to
lazy.
work. And you've just
Yeah.
highlighted that. It's about doing the work, sitting in peace and quiet. Doesn't matter if you meditate, well, try to go in the quiet. Doesn't matter if you spend 6 hours or 2 minutes or 2 hours. You can meditate walking, you meditate riding the bike. I ride a bike a lot to keep fit. And I meditate. So it's like the work you do on yourself. Right. I'm being told to shut up in the chat room. The cheeky people, aren't they? But I don't care because it's right. But I would have got to the questions. So, okay. You might not want to answer this. What's happening with Boris and Hancock?
The way that I'm being shown this is that they're puppets at the moment. You can't actually believe what's being seen. Just as the American government's going to go under a reform, as is ours. So at the moment, it's not what's going on. They're puppets. So you can't take on what they're actually doing or saying at the moment. It's not reality. It's not the truth.
Right.
That's the way I'm getting it.
I totally understand that, but the people I try to talk to, they don't want to know, so I shut up. This is my talk. This is my way. This is their way of getting the message across. Another one. Describe the council and why. Why 12?
Why 12? Why
They were
12?
they were 12 disciples.
Yeah. But there's something about a universal number of 12. They're not very clear about what it is, but there is 12 for a reason. So the way that I was shown the 12 is I've got, and I don't know if you've got the same, I've got 6 male, 6 female. And I was told that there should be an even split if anyone's channeling them, because they represent the evenness of what a soul is. So a soul is neither male or female, right? But if there's an even number of both, then it's represented as a whole. That's how they explained it to me. Why 12? Oh, okay. So here's what I'm hearing. The original, when we go back many years ago, there were 12 people on the board, including the galactics, including different ascended masters. And it's like the board of the universe that created Earth and the planets, the universe that we're in. So it originates back to the creators of our universe. That's what I'm hearing. And there was 12 of them. But now the 12 looks different depending on who's channeling them. So mine are all ascended masters, and I've got an angel. Yeah, I've got angels and ascended masters in mine. So, but they had galactics in them before. That's what I'm hearing.
It's
I don't
like,
know if you get anything different.
They just said it's not who we are. It's why we're here.
Why we're here.
Why we're here. It's human beings, and we speak without a forked tongue here. Because when they say we, it means them. They're here.
Yeah.
Like, get out of the way, Dennis. Like, we would like to remind you that we have walked. Some of us here have walked upon your earth plane, especially William Shakespeare, Jesus, Mother Mary, and there are others that he doesn't know about because you would call them floaters. It's a conveyor belt, but there's 6, no, we will say 8 of the original team that stay with our partner, and then there are 4 that come in when there are, thank you very much, specific tasks at hand.
Yeah. So I get different ones for different questions. So with this, Saint Germain and Jesus were very prominent. They're the ones that give me the directness and the balance. So when we're talking about world issues, they're always they're the team that always comes in, always. When we talk about trauma and we talk about reclaiming soul particles and things like that and healing, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene and Jesus tend to be the team. So they kind of team up in different aspects and come together depending on what we're dealing with.
When Mother Mary comes through to me, I have so much love.
Yeah.
I pins and needles. I call it my
Yeah.
I call it my spiritual orgasm. It's unbelievable. And I just feel like pins and needles to my body, and then my heart wants to open, tears.
Yeah.
But one day I was doing a mediumship philosophy at a church, and they called me Mr. Philosopher. I think it was a great name. I said, but I stutter. I said, it's okay. We still think you're Mr. Philosopher. And I was given this message, and I just wanted to cry. And just, whoa. And I couldn't continue the message because I was tears. It was so much energy. And when I got in
Yeah.
the car, started driving home, they said, you got to stop that. I said, what? He's got to stop that. We have to be able to give you a message, but you not be affected by it.
Totally. Totally. 100%.
So you can't be affected by, if you see someone dead and they're giving you a
Yeah.
message and you see somebody there, yeah, you can be in perfect alignment with them, but you can't let their grief overtake you, because you're the
Yeah.
instrument they will turn to give them kind words. You cannot be affected. In other words, you can't get stuck in the drama. You've got to be up here, out of the way.
Yeah.
To answer
Yeah.
another question, a friend of mine, Cheryl, as when will the playing of the puppet stop? I'll answer that if you don't mind. I come straight
Go
in.
for it.
It's Archangel Michael, especially with William Shakespeare. So they're twoing up, they tag teaming. William Shakespeare's pushing Archangel away, right? He got his elbow in there, right? He said, "There's no social distancing here. Get out of the way." And Archangel's going, "I've got a sword here." He said, "I've got the words of the wit. I've got the mouth." William Shakespeare. He was saying every person is playing a part in a life, right? All the stage, all the world is a stage, and
Yeah.
if you play this part right, if you're a troublemaker, you cause trouble. So
Yeah.
this is the answer to Cheryl. Cheryl, if you cause trouble and you stand up and be counted like our other partner, the female one, oh, they're talking about you now. The female one was talking about finding your voice and standing up and being counted. Stop being scared, because
Yeah.
when you're under the protection of what you may call the higher beings, and we will bring another experience in a short while, you will be protected. You won't be, in a way, going to what you may call a demonstration, be singled out, because you know that in that demonstration you need to be somewhere else, because you trust
Yeah.
in your higher self, which is us connecting with the higher self, connecting to many higher selves to come back to the lower self, which is in your body. Right? Excuse me. So the puppets will start playing when there's enough pressure from the sheep. Whoa, I didn't expect that word coming out. When the sheep are escaping from the pens that are being prepared for slaughter. So, in other words, we've got to speak out. We have to find our voice, and we've got to run over the shepherd, right? Run over the shepherd, trample him, because that's the one who's keeping it in the pen, right? So that could be Boris, that could be Hancock, that could be Potato Head, and because I call him Potato Head with a wig. But with all its respect, but at the same time, seeing it for what it is and having the courage to say what it is. Until we wake up as a mass, en masse, as a sin army of spiritual souls walking together with direction, with courage, that then they're going to say, game's up. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
what you mean, that new sunshine will part the clouds, part the chemtrails, and then we'll have that another timeline ascending,
Yeah.
descending onto our vibration.
Yeah, there's a beautiful world on the other side. And if we believe, because the lies we tell ourselves, because the lies we've been told, if we believe that this is the only world, we're not going to do it. We've got to have some belief, an instinctive sense of knowing inside of us that there is a better world to be had. And you're quite right. Whilst people are having awakenings, it's not just about the awakening. You have to act within it. So when I did my video channeling COVID and everyone was telling me I was crazy, I was quite nervous about putting it out. and I put it out, and that was the video that gave me so much traction. It got a lot of views on YouTube. But it was what was needed to be put out at that time, and I had to say what I had to say, and I had so much positive feedback. But meanwhile, I was sitting there thinking, I wonder who else is actually acting in that sense of knowing that there is a better world. What are we acting? Awakening is an awakening, but how are you going to act in it? How are you going to use that awakening? How are you going to live in it? Do you know what I mean? How are you going to embody it? That's the important part. That's, awakening is nothing. The other bit's the hard bit.
Yeah, the hard bit is we're waking up to the possibility of awakening.
Yeah.
It's the intent.
And it's never one awakening. It's a continual awakening.
Yeah.
I've had several awakenings.
Everybody's awake, but in certain degrees.
Yeah. Totally.
And it's like, if you want to learn your craft, you go to somebody who's got their craft. You go to a professor. People say to me, well, what are you professor of? I say, I'm the Don of Oxford or Cambridge. Why? Because I'm bloody good at my job. That's why. I bring it down in a way that I can teach. If you're ready to open up to the possibility of a different way of looking at things, then everything is a potential of you flying. Right. Protection. Is there a time where you felt protected?
Always.
Any specific time?
Specific time. I think the first time I felt it was a few years ago when... Do you know what? I'm thinking back to my life, and actually there's many times where I felt protected. I've tried to commit suicide 3 times in my life. I was protected every time my life wasn't taken. I was protected.
You see, I'm glad. Excuse me for jumping in because it's quick. Bang, get in there, boy. And it's like because she can talk forever, and they've got a sense of humour here, which is lovely, absolutely lovely. It's like saying you've had the courage to say that, right? So you've had the courage. You've gone to that despair. You've learnt from it. You've brought that energy, that education. And you brought experience and you brought it forth into the physical so you can help those who... Exactly.
So I've been protected many times. I was protected when I was 18 years old, living with someone who used to beat the shit out of me quite often. I was protected. I didn't die. I was protected. So do I want to sit there and look at it as I was really in a dark place and that's what was going on? Or can I see that I was held and protected all along? I absolutely was. 100% was.
Yeah.
And they protected me, energy, God, source energy, universe, whatever you want to call it, has protected me continually to be here in my fullness, to show up and talk about it right now.
Well, I'm going to talk about protection. I mean, so I'll rephrase that. I'm thinking about Stop it. You gave me a sense of humour. Safe protection. I can't. I've got it. I've got the Dennis the Menace on me now. Oh, good. So, but I just want to put a question here. Where are the ETs? If you don't answer it, it's fine.
Yeah, love this. So I did a webinar a while ago so I do these webinars every month and I teach people how to connect in one way or another. And I did a webinar specifically on ETs, right? And the group of people I had, I took them outside of our Earth parameters, if you like, to visit ETs on other planets. Then I asked them to come back and do a regular thing they do every day. So it might be taking the kids to school, it might be walking to work, whatever it is. And then I said, now I'm going to open you up to notice the ETs around you that live amongst us. And they were like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize. I always thought that person was a bit off. They just showed themselves as an ET. So they've been amongst us, but they live in a human form, but they are ETs. And you think about it, we're ETs. Like, we don't come from here. We come from somewhere else, right?
Yeah, we do.
We consider ourselves to be unique and human. But there are ETs that are wearing human skin, but they're ETs. Then there's ETs that are living on this planet in places, and I can see them. When I look at that, I look at the world and I'm like, I can see them living on our land. Amongst us, or maybe in rural places, but we just don't bother them. Like I'm hearing categorically there's some that live on this planet, they're known to live there, but we don't bother them because we've just been told to, or we just don't go there. There's parts of the world you instinctively don't go to. It's like you're walking down the road and you're like, yeah, I don't want to go that way. I want to go that way. It's like instinctively we're driven away, and because there are things in certain places. So they're amongst us already. I really want to see them in their, like, you know, in their fullness, in their entirety, as they are, not in human skin. But that I'm hearing that's also going to come out.
Years ago, I was in a bed sit when I was just a teenager. Basically, I had a visitation, and I knew it was an ET, but I wouldn't put my head. I put the covers over me till it went away, and I wish I'd got a set of ghoulies that I could have popped my head. And I'm thinking, oh hello, and that was probably the start of it, to see if I could
Yeah.
actually play in the realms of spirit. Let me tell you about this, and then I'll let you go. Just it's
Okay.
fascinating, this, and people are still winging away here. So years ago, I used to go to a spiritual church over in my neck of the woods. I just started my spiritual development when I was 34, and then basically I was driving home and I was thinking about what this person have said, and what they said was, "Oh, you're new at this, Dennis, and you're not very good. But what these people here, these naughty, they don't want your energy. They want the dark. They want to use it for the dark side." And I'm me green thinking, "There's no dark side. There's only God, the devil." This is what I thought then. Very
Yeah.
structured. Little did I know I'd got tapped on the shoulder about 2 weeks before, and this is me trying to get rid of the old ways. They said, "No, they want your energy." So I'm driving home and I'm thinking about this. And at that time, I was driving a nice car, and I'm going down the road quite quick. It's at 80 miles an hour down this country road.
I'm
And I was
still
a
listening.
pull.
I'm just going to put my phone on charge. Keep
Okay,
talking.
okay. I've kept you on too much. Hi, folks. This is Dennis. My guest has done a runner. I don't know why. Maybe I'm
No,
talking
no,
too
keep
much.
talking. Keep talking. I just had to plug it in
She's
so I don't
talking
lose
too
you.
much. But basically, I'm going down to this. I'm going down this road quite quick, and there's a lamppost in front of me, about 100 yards in front of me. This lamppost must be 30 foot high, but very thin, like a lamppost with a light over it. As I'm going towards it, this lamppost started to change shape, and it went to a silhouette and a head, and then it was a torso of a being, and it shimmered white light, and it grew to 100, maybe 200 feet high, and went wide. And I'm going, oh my God,
Yeah,
what
yeah.
is that? And then all of a sudden, this white light came in the car. I'm driving this car quick. What the hell is that? And then this white light just comes in. I can't see the steering wheel. I can't see anything. It's obliterated. It's just me in a blanket of cotton wool. And this voice just comes in. The voice, what I can say is God, or my conception of God, that divine energy is. And it says to me, "Dennis, don't be scared. We will never let anything harm you." And I was as though I was wrapped up in all the love in the universe. And I just felt so peaceful, so loved, and so calm, and so appreciated. And so there's something out there that is far, far better, and that
Yeah.
was protected. I woke up. I didn't wake up. I ended up, when I came to, I was in my drive, about 3 inches away from the garage, the car parked, engine off, handbrake on. And well, how the hell did I get here? And then many years after, I got involved in a car crash. And I was taken to hospital, and a friend come and got me, took me back to their house. And she's a mother in a past life, and we've met this time, and we're still better friends now. And she looked after me, and that during that day, that afternoon, I felt stronger. I had a neck brace on. I was knocked about because I should have died then, be honest with you. And basically upstairs said to me, "Go to church." And I went, "What?" They said, "Go to church. You'll be okay." And then this power came back into my body. This like, what is going on here? I just felt I'd not been in a car crash. In fact, I felt like 21. So I walked downstairs, fully dressed, and my friend said, "Where do you think you're going?" I said, "We're going to church." In a Yorkshire accent, they said, "Hey, bar gum, where think you're going, lad?" I said, "I'm going church. Are you coming or do I go on my bus?" And they said, and Brian says, "You're not going." Iris said, "If he's going to church, there's a reason. We're taking him." So they took me in the car, off we went to church. I don't know if you know about spirit churches, spiritual services. They some do an open circle at the end
That's right.
where anybody gets up and give a message. Well, I was well known for getting up. He said, "Oh, get up, Dennis. Dennis is here. Oh, great, love it." So my reputation precedes me. Joke, because I love myself, of course. So basically, they said, "Oh, you look oh, he's been in a car crash. He's just come today to sit in the service." So the service went. The service did the service, and I was dozing in and out of consciousness. And then the open circle come. So my trick was all to stand up at the last to give a message that would uplift the place. Because people say, your message is not Mickey Mouse about somebody living in a red door with a number 62 and a telephone number. You give soul messages. I says, yeah, I don't know why. That's just the way it is. So I got up and I gave a message to these people who'd lost a daughter in a car crash, and she was going to get married. She was in a wedding dress.
Wow.
And then a car crash, and she went. And they've been trying to find closure for many, many years. Well, I gave them the message, and they came to me after it all stopped. I gave 2 messages actually, and they were right for that time. And as the open circle finished, and we just got a cup of tea, and these 2 people came to me and said, "Thanks for the message." Then somebody else was listening, and I went all weak. I collapsed, and my friends had to just pick me up. And they said, "What's up with him? Has he been drinking?" Well, my friends fired into them and said, "He was in a car crash yesterday. He could have gone to Spirit, but Spirit told him about this, right?" And they said, "It's not his time yet, but he's come here today to give 2 messages to these people, and now he's got to go back." And they go, "Oh, I didn't know that." So
Yeah.
I said, "Take me home, please." So they frog marched me into the car. They laid me on the back seat of this old Morris Maxi, big back seat. They put me on, covered me with a blanket like I was dead, probably was dead, and they drove home, right? And then they have you heard of the last of the summer wine?
Yeah.
Well, they lived in that village next to Compost Calf, basically.
Okay.
Right, so we always have a laugh, right? And I got into the house and I went upstairs. I thought, and my friend said, "I'll bring you a cup of tea and some biscuits." I said, "No, I'll have some Horlicks. I love Horlicks." And some chocolate digest. She said, "Oh, yeah, bossy." I said, "Yeah, get used to it." She said, "I have done." This is my friend. And as I'm sat on the bed, this is it. The white light comes again. And I freak. And then it just engulfed me with this white light again. And the same voice just said, "Dennis, we've showed you in 2 incidents we can change the way of your life." One was the Friday night when you were driving home with 15 brandies down your back of your neck. I was a bit upset, so I had a few drinks and driving home, and I got stopped by the police, and they breathalyzed me. And they said, "We made sure that was a negative breath test. We made sure." And then this is them talking to me. They said, we could have affected your life with the police and the breathalyzer. And then when you had the car crash, you could have gone to another spiritual vibration. In other words, you could have died, but you didn't do. Guess what? And I'm just going, this all happens in about a second, but it takes ages for it to come through. But it happens instantly. They're talking to you. And they just said, prepare yourself to do better things than you do now.
Yeah.
And I had this orgasm again, and it was like, it lasted forever. and that cotton wool, that odd mustard, that white light was still there. So listen, folks, if you get a white light, enjoy it, get into it, milk it for what it's worth, because it's the universe talking to you. Or part
Yeah.
of one universe. There's loads of universes. There's loads of logoses. There's different mansions. As God would said, there's different rooms in his mansion. And basically, I shouted downstairs. I said, "Iris, Brian," and they went, "Oh!" And they shut upstairs. Husband was trying to get in front of the wife. The wife was trying to get in front of the husband. The husband got in front of the wife. The wife pulled his legs, shot him downstairs, and got into the room first. She opened the door. She went, "What the hell's happened here?" So I told her, and she went, "Well, what do you expect?" Closed the door and went downstairs. And I went,
How funny.
"Is that it?" And she wasn't until about 6 years later that she knew what had happened then. Upstairs, when she got downstairs, upstairs had told her. So the reason I'm saying this is that I had no idea spirit would touch me. I had no idea that the universe would talk to me. And you've probably had the same. And there's lots of people
Yeah.
out there who've had the same. And we'd like to invite you onto the show and to talk to us.
Yeah.
But I just think,
You know, these things are called death's doors, and your soul has a chance, or spirit has a chance to intervene.
yeah,
So, you know, sometimes when you're about to step out into the road and you have a near miss and the car
yeah,
honks and you go back, they're like
yeah,
death's doors, you
yes,
know.
right,
We're not meant to go, but if a soul has an opportunity, it will. So, to give you an example, my mum had stage 4 cancer last September, and I spoke to her soul. So the doctors were saying she's got 20% of survival rate. She was 6 days away from death. So I spoke to the soul and I said, "Are you ready to go?" And the soul said, "I'm undecided because she hasn't decided. It's not for me to decide." So I remember having the conversation with my mum and I said, "Do you want to die?" And she went, "No." And I said, "Well, act like you're living, because your soul's asking me to ask you. We're not done with you. You're not done yet. You've still got a mission. So you better decide you're going to live." And I was the only one that could straight talk. Everyone else was falling apart around me. And on that day, she decided that she wanted to stay. And then when I checked in with the soul again, she was so close. She was so weak. She was half her body weight. And miraculously, or not so, she's recovered. She's fully recovered inside a year. She's fully recovered. But sometimes it's just a decision whether the spirits come in and intervene, whether a soul saying no, or whether it's us deciding we're not done yet. We're taking ownership. We're taking responsibility to take this forward. We can change that, because sometimes soul's had enough and it's just like, you're just not trying as a human.
yeah,
I'm off,
yeah,
you know.
yeah,
So we can change that. Literally, when I spoke to the soul, it was almost ready to go, and then I
yeah,
had those words and she was like, "I'm not giving up yet." And I'm like, "Act like it then, because your soul's about to do a runner here, you know. Show it that you want to stay." The whole of her changed. It was amazing.
yeah,
It was really good. But then again, it's what you said earlier about detachment, that when you get more expansive as a human, you detach from the drama. So if there is a suicide, or if there is a death in the family, or if there is something like that, I have sympathy and empathy for that situation, but I'm not emotionally attached at all, which is really interesting. So even with my family, when there's horrible stuff I'm hearing, I'm not sitting there crying. So with my mum, I didn't sit and cry. I was just like, okay, we can deal with this. Let's get on with it. And it's not a not caring. It's knowing that we all go to the same place, and you're feeling it. You're absolutely feeling it. So there's no separation, whether they're here physically or on the other side. There's none. So you feel different about it. And there's, you know, what you said earlier about, you know, detaching from the drama and just being in it wholly.
Sorry, I just
Got
went
deadly
to,
quiet.
I just went to someone's question, and I just think it's now 11:10. We've been on 2 hours,
Wow.
10 minutes, so I think it's right that we call it quits. Because I've never done one this
Done.
length, and I don't want to tire you out. But what I would ask you, would you like to come on again?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love it.
Right,
It'd be really cool to have an open Q&A actually on anything. That could
exactly.
get quite diverse, couldn't it? So ask
Yeah,
anything about soul, you know, what's going on in the world,
yeah,
anything. People on the other side, whatever you like.
yeah. Definitely. So, would you like to tell people how they can contact you? I think I've asked that once before.
Yeah, and we skirted over it. Right, you can follow me on Instagram, and it's at Miss Yasmine Ibrahim. You can find me on Facebook, and if you're on this page with Dennis, I'm sure you've tagged me somewhere, haven't you, Dennis?
Uh, I, I don't do tags.
You
I'm
don't do
very
tags.
I'm
Okay.
very good at some things, but I'm terrible at other things. I don't do tags.
Okay, so
But
I
I
have a
will tag
Facebook.
you. But people can contact me, and
Yeah,
I'll get them. But I
yeah.
would
I have
tag you.
the Facebook profile, and it's Yasmine Ibrahim. Okay, if you go onto the profile, I have a link in my profile that has a link to all the YouTube videos that I put out recently. So I've just put out an energy report for December, which is a really good one. I put that out yesterday. There's blogs on there, there's free resources on there. You can book a session with me, and there's upcoming webinars that you can get involved in where I teach you how to connect your intuition and find your psychic self.
Yeah,
They're a lot of fun.
I think the open Q&A that would be fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be really good. Yeah, because we can channel and come from our knowledge as well. We've got a lot of knowledge between us, so I think it would be really good to do that.
All right. Well, I'm say thank you very much for being here. Thank you
Thank you guys for watching, and
for
thank you, Dennis, for inviting me.
taking up the challenge. It's been really good. Thank you for all the
Thank
people
you.
coming in and asking questions, and all the people that I think there's been 230 hearts sent, which is good. 214
Wow.
now. So let's I'll be in contact. Thank you so much. Thanks for taking the time and
Pleasure.
effort and allowing your wisdom to come through.
Oh, thank you so much. It's, Spirit has a way of bringing the right people together. So thank you so
Exactly.
much.
I mean,
Yeah.
I must admit, I got really hot and I took my jacket off thinking, flipping out, what's going on here? Wow. I'm too old for hot flushes. Too old.
There's too many of them in the room. That's what it is,
Exactly.
isn't it?
All right,
Yeah.
darling. Have a great
All
evening.
right.
Thanks very much. And
No,
I'll
thank
be
you
in
so
touch.
much.
Oh,
Okay. And love to everyone watching.
I'm going to play a video on the way out. You might like it. It's called
Okay,
Sheepy.
cool.
Sheepy.
All right.
And then it will end after this. So I will say good night, God bless. Thank you very much
Yeah.
for staying up. Not
Pleasure.
that you need much beauty sleep, but thank you anyway. Okay,
Thank
I'll speak to you
you.
later. But
Thanks. Bye, everyone.
I'll play this, and then when this ends, it will end. The show will end. So speak to
Okay,
you later.
cool.
Bye,
Thanks,
Yasmine.
Dennis.
Bye for now.
Bye. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
darling. Bye.